Troops from the U.S. and Japan are working together, part of a joint drill. The weeks-long exercise is happening in the Indo Pacific. How big is Washington's fleet of nuclear submarines? And how does it compare to China and its neighbors? We compare the details to find out. The Indo Pacific region tops the list as the globe's biggest weapons importer. That's as one country in the region does the opposite. As an American company cuts tech support for a Chinese drone company, Taiwan says Beijing is stealing intellectual property from the island. And for those watching our full episode, Chinese stocks see a surge of panic selling and a major value drop. This after the U.S. market regulator released a list of names facing consequences. And Chinese naval strength, largely sourced from Ukraine. We look at the country's history. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. As Russia's invasion in Ukraine is garnering the world's attention, the countries in the Indo Pacific region are strengthening their ties. Combating the threat from the Chinese Communist regime, the U.S. and Japan are coming closer militarily. Amphibious Japanese troops and U.S. Marines are getting some joint exercise. On Tuesday, they practiced airborne landing assaults together for the first time. The drills mark a sign of deepening military cooperation between Japan and the United States. The drills involved 400 Japanese troops and 600 from U.S. Marines. It's part of a 3-week exercise held in Japan. Japan is revising a decades-old national security strategy amid heightened threat concerns over China's growing military assertiveness. That upgrade to defense policy guidelines is expected to make the country take a more active role alongside Washington in protecting regional security. The joint drills also come as Russia's invasion of Ukraine brings fresh security concerns to East Asia, where China is putting pressure on Taiwan. China claims Taiwan as its own territory and has never ruled out the possibility of trying to take Taiwan by force, even though Taiwan has its own constitution and democratically elected president. Due to its close proximity to Taiwan, Japan is on high alert because of Beijing's growing assertiveness in the region. Next, let's zoom in on nuclear submarines and how many of them belong to nations in the Indo-Pacific. Japan commissioned its 22nd submarine last week. The vessel is named Big Whale and is powered by both electric and diesel. It joins the country's 22nd submarine fleet, none of which are nuclear-powered. Japan's nuclear technology is advanced, but the country has followed a no-nuclear weapons policy for decades and hasn't developed any weapons related to nuclear power. Looking at one of the country's neighbors, Taiwan has no submarines whatsoever. But in 2020, Taiwan announced plans to build a submarine fleet with support from Western countries. The first vessel is set to be commissioned in 2025. Thanks to a recent 3-way deal, Australia also has plans to boost submarine production. Under the agreement, the U.S. and U.K. will pass along key technology to help the nation build nuclear-powered subs. But Australia may have a long wait ahead and likely won't produce its first nuclear submarine for another 20 years. On the other hand, what does Beijing's nuclear arsenal look like? The Chinese Communist regime has refused to disclose the number of submarines in its fleet. The U.S. estimated in 2020 that Beijing had 6 nuclear submarines at the time. In comparison, the U.S. was estimated to own about 70 nuclear submarines at the time. China's military has been expanding fast in the last 2 years, and its current number of subs remains unknown. Most of the arms sales in the last 5 years were going to countries in the Indo-Pacific region, and the biggest arms export country is the U.S. This, according to new research from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. With the war in Ukraine and tensions in the Indo-Pacific region, arms sales have seen a boost in some regions. For one, Europe is importing more weapons, while some major countries in the Indo-Pacific region, like India, Australia, and Japan, have ramped up arms buys in the last 5 years. The research examines weapons sales during 2 5-year periods. It compares purchase numbers from 2017 to 2021 to those made from 2012 to 2016. Comparing the last 5 years to the 5 years before that, international transfers of major arms shrank 5% globally, but imports to European countries increased 19%, the biggest growth of any world region. Stockholm Peace Institute researcher Peter Weissman explains. The severe deterioration in relations between most European states and Russia was an important driver of growth in European arms imports. Topping the list, Britain, Norway, and the Netherlands were Europe's biggest arms importers. Surprisingly, Ukraine's imports were very limited, despite rising tensions with Russia in recent years. The Indo Pacific remains the world's largest weapons import region. More than 2/5 of global transfers made in the years from 2017 to 2021 were made there. What's more, 6 of the 10 top importers on that list are located in the region. India and Australia lead the charge, and both have ongoing border disputes or trade conflicts with China. Notably, the Chinese Communist regime takes 3rd place. South Korea and Japan also make the top 6. Both are taking a harder stance against Beijing's aggression and expansion in the region. Weissman added that tensions between China and many states in Asia and Oceania are the main driver of arms imports in the region. On the other end of those weapons sales, the United States remained the world's biggest arms exporter, growing its market share to 39% from 32%. The war in Ukraine is affecting relations between a U.S. software company and a Chinese drone maker. Figma is a fast-growing U.S.-based company that provides vector graphics editing software. The company recently closed off access to its services for the world's #1 drone maker. That company is China's DJI. Here's what the provider wrote to DJI.
We have learned that DJI is named in U.S. sanctions. As a result, and in compliance with U.S. laws, Figma can no longer provide you with access to our software. That's according to China Fund, a Chinese state-run media company. The move comes as DJI drones are being used in the Russia-Ukraine war. Those details come from the co-founder of connectivity company Blink IoT Platform. The Chinese company is said to have given Russian invaders the advantage. Here's why. The drone company offers the capability to track the location of other drones and the people who operate them. It's called the aeroscope function. But the Chinese company apparently turned that function off for Ukrainians, but left it on for Russians. Again, this is all according to Blink's co-founder. He says the Russians were able to kill Ukrainian drone operators, but Ukrainians couldn't track their Russian counterparts. But are these claims true? DJI's U.S. communication director offered an explanation for the loss of the aeroscope function. They said the malfunction may be connected to prolonged loss of power or internet. But there's more. On Sunday, reports started surfacing about Russia asking the Chinese regime for military aid, and that includes drones. So it's made the situation more sensitive, but Beijing has denied the allegations. Additionally, there are reports that suggest anti-American or non-state actors have used the Chinese drone company services. Those include ISIS and even a ploy to kill Venezuela's president. Neither Figma nor DJI could be reached for comment.
Washington is working to tackle Beijing's intellectual property theft. At the same time, Beijing is turning to Taiwan, poaching talent and stealing trade secrets. That's according to an announcement from Taiwanese authorities. Now the island is fighting back. Here's more.
The Investigation Bureau under Taiwan's Ministry of Justice has an announcement. Last week, it reported that nearly 60 people from 8 different Chinese enterprises are under investigation. The Bureau said Beijing has used Chinese companies or research centers operating in Taiwan as cover for its real goal, stealing Taiwan's advanced technology and poaching the island's high-tech industry talents. Last year, it happened in 26 different cases. Those led to Taiwan suffering a loss of more than $7 billion. Also tied to the situation, Chinese semiconductor company Bitmain set up a company in Taiwan, and in just 3 years, it poached hundreds of engineers from Taiwan. The company then sent that technology to mainland China, dealing a blow to Taiwan's national security. To counter the intellectual property theft, Taiwan authorities have drafted a law to strictly regulate the number of investors coming from mainland China. Lee Jung-shou is a military expert at Taiwan's National Policy Research Foundation. He said China knows it can't catch up with Taiwanese or U.S. technology anytime soon, so it steals from them instead to close the gap.
The CCP is actually deeply controlled by the West over industrial secrets of high-tech industries. China knows that at least at this stage, it cannot keep up with the pace of Taiwan and European and American technologies, so it hopes to use this way to close the technology gap.
How big is the technology gap between Taiwan and China? Taiwan holds the cutting edge, thanks to companies like Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's largest contract microchip maker. Taiwan also makes the majority of the world's most advanced semiconductors. On the other hand, made-in-China chips are lower quality and less advanced. As of this year, China still hasn't designed or fabricated a substantial number of high-value logic chips.
That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We are now sharing a shortened version of our program on YouTube. That's after being demonetized for a year. Full episodes can be watched on our partner platform, Epoch TV. To sign up for a 14-day free trial, please click the link down below. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.
Every once in a while, something comes along so masterful, it leaves you in awe. So inspiring, it changes your life. So beautiful, you wish it would never end. When that happens, it's something not to be missed. Shen Yun, an all-new production every year.
The performance was enchanting.
I feel better about the world. I feel uplifted.
It touches you. It really does.
The expertise of the dancers was really, really strong.
To know that it was live music was really fantastic.
We didn't want to miss this.
Make sure you see it.
Have to come. Life-changing.